Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you how to make a Valentine's Day dessert. So if you haven't seen it already, go check out my Valentine's Day dinner idea. It is a penne with blush sauce. It's so good. But for today, I'm showing you how to make a classic molten chocolate cake, which is probably on the menu at every restaurant on Valentine's Day or most restaurants. So if you are interested in learning how to make this delicious ooey gooey cake, keep on watching. So these are the ingredients you're going to need. First up, just get some plain old all-purpose flour. Back there is some white sugar. It is just hiding from my camera's view. You'll need vanilla extract, a stick of unsalted butter. Make sure it says unsalted when you're grabbing it out of the fridge. Some cocoa powder. It doesn't matter what the brand is, and it doesn't need to match the chocolate that you're gonna pick out. So this is the kind of chocolate that I'm using today. I use it because it has lava cake on the cover. It definitely has that bittersweet taste. So if you want something on the sweeter side, you might not want to get this particular type. You'll also need some espresso powder. This might be something you want to leave out if you don't like the taste of coffee. Now, to be honest, I don't like the taste of coffee either, but this just kind of enhances that bittersweet chocolate flavor. So I do actually add this in. You'll also need 4 eggs. And some ramekins. So I have these 2 Mickey ones that my brother gave me for Christmas that I'm going to use today. But I'm also going to use one of these that I found in Target Dollar Spot. These are standard ramekins, just the circle ones. So whatever you can find or whatever you have on hand works just fine. So we're going to start with our eggs and put them into a stand mixer. Now if you don't have a stand mixer, that's fine. You can just use a hand mixer. But in this bowl are 2 whole eggs and then 2 egg yolks. These are large eggs. And I forgot to mention that I will link the recipe below, so all of those measurements are there for you. And in goes our white sugar. So I've got my whisk attachment on my mixer, and I'm gonna go ahead and start it off on a slower speed. And then eventually I will crank it up to a medium speed. And what's gonna happen over the next few minutes is your eggs will turn a pale light color and they'll become a little bit foamy. We're not looking for stiff peaks, we're not whipping it up in any way. It's just gonna be foamy and a little bit thicker than when you started. So there's a little close-up for you. Moving on over to our cutting board, go ahead and take your chocolate out of the wrapper and go ahead and grab a nice big knife and just start chopping up your chocolate. It doesn't have to be super tiny pieces, doesn't even have to be even pieces. You just want to chop it up so that it melts down quickly when you add it to the melted butter on the stove. And if no one's watching, you can grab a little taste. Moving on over to the stove, put your saucepan on the stove, turn it to a low heat, and throw in your stick of unsalted butter. You're gonna let this melt down, and then as soon as it's melted, go ahead and add your chocolate, still staying on that low heat. You don't wanna burn your chocolate. And you're gonna add in your vanilla, as well as your espresso powder if you're choosing to use that, and a pinch of salt, or 2. Stir it all together for a second and then go ahead and incorporate your flour. And continue to stir and bring it all together. You're still gonna have some lumps at the end, but all of the flour should be well combined. Moving on back to the stand mixer, go ahead and add your chocolate in with the eggs. And make sure that you get every last drop of that chocolate out of the saucepan. You definitely don't want to leave any chocolate behind, and don't worry, I ended up scraping this out even more after I filmed this little shot. Then you're just going to combine that all together on a low speed. We're not whipping this up anymore, just combining all of the ingredients so it looks gorgeous just like this. Now with your ramekins, you want to make sure that you butter these really, really well, especially if you're planning on popping out your cakes at the very end. So I will pop out the cake from the circular dish, but I'm gonna leave the Mickey one in just because I'm thinking those ears could break off. So what I'm doing here, I actually took a little Ziploc bag, turned it inside out, and I used that to keep my hands clean as I rubbed that softened butter all around the inside of the dish. So we didn't leave anything uncoated. The Mickey one was a little bit harder to do, but we made it happen. And then I just flipped the bag inside out and I put it in the fridge for the next time I have to butter a dish. Now with my cocoa powder, I'm going to also coat the inside of my ramekins, and this will again help your cake pop out if that is what you're planning on doing. Try not to make a mess. You might want to grab another dish. So what you're doing here is you're just rocking that cocoa powder all the way around your dish so that it is nicely coated. I probably didn't need to do this with the Mickey one, but I did it anyway. And to save some ingredients, I just scoop up the extra cocoa powder from the first dish that I coat. And these circular ones are way easier, just kind of roll them around like a little tire wheel and tap out the excess. And now you're good to go. So grab your batter and go ahead and pour it into your ramekins. You don't have to worry too much about the cake rising, but I'd fill them up about halfway, maybe a little bit more. And with my Mickey ramekin, it was a little tricky to fill that up and spread out the batter with the large spatula, so I had to grab a little spoon. But once you've got them all filled up, they are ready to go into a 400-degree oven for about 12 minutes. Just keep your eye on them so that they don't overbake, but it's not the end of the world if they're slightly overbaked. And here's what they look like when they're all done. So you'll know they're done baking when you see the center sunken in a little bit. It still might be a bit glossy, and if you wiggle the ramekin around very gently, you'll see that center wobbling around too. You can also gently touch the surface with clean hands to check and see if it's a little bit soft. So let them cool for a few minutes before you start handling them. And I'll show you a few ways that you can plate them up. They're probably still going to be warm, so you can go ahead, if you're keeping it in a dish, go ahead and put it on a small little dinner plate, and we'll put that one to the side for now. But with the circular one, let's pop this one out of the dish. So grab a knife and just very gently go around the edges to loosen up the cake. And because you buttered your ramekin really well, it should pop out very easily. And now it's time to flip the cake. You shouldn't have to tap it or anything like that. Little drum roll though. Ta-da! And it's okay if there are cracks in your cake, it's gonna be fine. So there are multiple ways that you can serve this up, but here I'm adding a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream right on top. You could also do whipped cream, you could do a little drizzle of chocolate sauce or some fresh berries. And with my Mickey one, I just decided to sprinkle on a little powdered sugar, which kind of reminded me of pixie dust. So hopefully you can save a little bit of room for dessert this Valentine's Day so that you can give this molten chocolate cake recipe a try. It is so delicious and it looks really fancy, but it's really simple to put together. Again, just make sure you butter those ramekins really well and you won't have any difficulty with your cakes popping out. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below. And I'd love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this one. But until I see you guys next time, have a very happy Valentine's Day.